members hurt us, it actually is more painful. Yeah. When not necessarily when friends hurt us, but when your immediate family hurts you. And things have happened. We've been in different seasons in our families where we've been forced to. The circumstances dictated that we stay home together for over almost 2 years. Yes, and the season is just ripe for hurt to happen. But when we talk about hurt, it's bad to assume that everyone will understand what hurt is. In just simple words or simple terms, what is hurt? H-U-R-T, not hurt, H-E-A-R-T.
Hurt. Hurt is pain.
Okay.
Pain that could be brought by yourself through the things you do, or choose to listen, or choose to accept to follow.
Okay.
But it's more convenient when it's from outside, yeah? So you have someone to blame for your hurt.
Yeah.
So other people might do things that are not acceptable to you, are painful to you, things that do not align with your way of thinking or your way of doing things. So in that way, you get pain. And that is what I could define hurt is. It could be personal, it could be from the outside.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. And so it's the pain that we have, either from within or without,
yes,
outside circumstances. And when we talk about hurt, of course, there are singles who have been hurt. Really, they have checked you.
Everyone has been hurt.
Yes.
Everyone has been hurt. Even you and I, we've been hurt.
Yeah, we've definitely been hurt. We can't insulate ourselves from that. But what are the common hurts that we have in family?
In family, because we are relational, human beings are relational, so definitely you're going to be hurt, even by the people who love you most. Even actually, it is more painful when someone who loves you does something that pains you, because you're thinking, how could Eki do this to me? Eki clearly knows that I don't align with this kind of thinking. So when we're in the family and we have certain norms and values and characteristics of a family, and then someone does, I'm zeroing it down to family because you talked about family week. So when someone does something that seems to be away from the norm of the family, even the three of us, this can be a family. Yeah, the Power FM Kickstart family. Yeah,
Welcome to our Kickstart.
Thank you for welcoming me into your family. So if any one of you does something that is outside the alignment of your family, then you're hurt. And how we deal with it is absolutely different, because what hurts Eki does not hurt me. It may, but not as much, because of where I place my value system. So it is those things that are done within and without, like I said in the beginning, that bring pain. The things that are said. People will say something, and someone might think it's in the passing, but you who said it, it might be in the passing, but to the person who you're telling it to, it may not be in the passing because of the things they have gone through.
Yes.
We could all have left home at the same time or at different times, but we all came from the same home and we left. And the day that I had, the events that unfolded during the day made not have been very pleasant to me. So one thing that you may say to me might actually rub me the wrong way, yet the other person with whom we left home, maybe they had a great day at work. So you could say the same thing, but different people take it differently, and different people are hurt by the words that you say. Yeah, and in my tribe, they say that the person who says something may forget it, but the person to whom it is said may never forget it. So we need to be careful, with our tongue. Even the Bible talks about the tongue. Yeah. So we need to be careful with our tongue, because there are many things that we say there, it may appear as a joke to you, but to me it may not be a joke. And also, we could be in family, yes, but we might not be friends for different reasons. So
it is very pertinent.
And I say we because I also talk. You and I talk. So the words that we say have a lasting impact on the people that we say them to, especially a child who is just, developing in their personality. And then you say something like, maybe they do an incomplete piece of work, and then you tell them something like, you'll never finish anything. I mean, I wasn't able to finish this piece of work. And I mean, I also fall culprit of this some of the time. I'm not saying that, I'm holier than thou. And I'm talking to myself as well. So when you tell someone you'll never finish anything, one, what it does is this person cannot push themselves to any limit, because they're like, well, after all, I mean, it's the writing is on the wall. I will never finish anything, so why should I even try? So it limits someone's development, for starters. Then for some other people, it will just give them this feeling of, why should I even start? So the creativity dies there and then. Even in us, you have this big dream, you think you can make it, you have your plan, there's this business, it's going to work, then you're thinking, but my mom said I'll never finish anything. Why would I even start? Like Miles Monroe said that, the richest places are graveyards, because there's so many undeveloped ideas that are buried down. But many of these ideas are buried by the people around us because of the things that they say to us. So I just want to encourage anyone, if you have an idea, package it well. Because sometimes also, the person who is being told these words, how did you package your thing that you're putting on the table? So also you, much as you're saying someone is saying something negative to you, but also you, how are you packaging yourself? How are you packaging the words that you're presenting to the other person? You're complaining that they're talking wrong back to you.
Right.
But also you are not doing a very good job. So, it's all of us, how am I packaging and how is the other person responding?
Wow. And, just before we jump into the one for friendship, somebody says, Mrs. Mubiru, please talk about husbands that shout at their wives when angry, regardless of who is around. Conquer, I am anonymous. They have really shouted on this thing. So, anyway, please.
Anonymous.
Yes, anonymous, Bambi.
Anonymous, I'm sorry that, there are those kind of people that are shouting, their husbands that are shouting. But like I said, previously, how did it happen? Does this person just come back and start shouting at you? Or you're also doing something that is not being seen in the open? That silent treatment when someone chooses to keep quiet, but then they're banging doors, they are throwing saucepans around, and for you, you're very quiet, and this person is shouting at you. And when they shout at you, what do? Do you also want to get the pound of flesh back? Do you want to say, they don't squeeze me in bananas. Let me show you what I'm also made of.
They don't squeeze me in bananas. Can I interrupt that for a minute? Is that an actual saying in Luganda?
In Luganda, yes,
Luganda,
it
okay.
is.
Not
in
in
Luganda,
English,
no. It's
yeah, I was
sorry.
worried it was an actual English saying. Okay, please proceed.
No. So, what is your contribution? This is something I always ask people. Yes, they shouted at you, but were you just seated there and they shouted at you? And when they shouted at you, what did you do about it?
What was your response?
Yeah. So let us not think of changing other people. Let us always focus on changing us. This is something that you don't like. So what are you doing about it? And some of these things, now that we're talking in the pretext of marriage, of husband and wife, these are things that maybe happen before you even get married, and you're thinking, it will go. You maybe come late or do something, and this guy shouts at you, and you're like, because you're not yet married, you're thinking, no, it will go. It was those are indicators of trouble up ahead of you. Yeah, so how do you respond? What do you do about it? You as an individual, let us not look at the other person, but you, because it takes two to tango. And what other things that are happening prior to that shouting? Can you try and avoid them? Do a self-evaluation and find out what is it that is going on and what can I do? Because you're the one seeing the shouting. You could have been, it could have been an intermarriage, or it could have been, we come from different families. Maybe in that person's family, what you're calling shouting is actually not shouting. Yeah. It is normal. That is how they talk. Yeah. So
that happens also,
that is also happening. So some due diligence, find out what's going on. Then you'll be able to resolve. But it is you to change, not the other person.
Okay. When heart is not dealt with, what are the results?
The results are quite unpleasant, because this person is still dealing with so much pain within them. And the pain is caused by emotion, it's caused by a feeling, yeah? So that feeling, when it is not dealt with, first of all, it will bring physiological problems, yeah? Because when you're hurt, your body produces a certain liquid that is actually poisonous to you as an individual. People get into depression, people get into isolation. They're thinking, man, I cannot even be seen where you are at, yeah? Or I cannot even be seen in public. So they go into isolation. People get into addictions. They find a weaker thing where they can express that bad feeling, that bad emotion. They find something, for lack of a better word, something that won't talk back to them: alcohol, drugs, sex, food. They find something, and then that's why we have problems of addictions. We have depressions. We have suicide. Separations, divorces. They're all results of unresolved conflicts, which is hurt.
Yes. Now, we come from African, we come from homes where, you can't talk back. Like you hold, like when it comes to elders hurting, children or hurting, we all have those people we hold as elders. And in our cultures, you never talk back at elders. So these are the people who have hurt you. How do you deal with such a situation?
You have to first know where is the line drawn, okay? They are my elders and they have hurt me. Okay. Every single day, you and I keep growing. The Rebecca that was in diapers grew and started going to school, created a personality around themselves. And remember, we said we're different. We have different strengths and weaknesses. So much as I was a child, I have my strength and my weaknesses. So there are things that you said to me then, and maybe I would cry, and then it would go by. But then they are in my long-term memory. So what happens is they create a gap between you and I. So if that is not dealt with, it will bring all these other things that we've talked about, the depression, the addiction, and what have you. But when I start growing up and start reasoning in my own way, I find a way to deal with these things. For some people, it will be withdrawal, silent treatment. For some people, it will be talking back. Now, talking back, you need to package your things well, like we talked about. Yeah, you need to package well. You need to know who is the other side of the table. If a sibling and a sibling are having an argument, it's definitely different from when a parent or an authority is having an argument with a child. So you need to learn to package your thing and say, with all due respect, this, I don't agree with this. Yeah. Unfortunately, we do not separate the subjects and the object. Yeah. So I have done something wrong. So you're labeling me all these things because of what I have done. But now this is my parent who has said these things. So if I cannot talk back to you, I am going to isolate myself. You've heard of kids who say, when I leave this home, that's the last you'll see of me. Yeah, because of the things that have been going on. So this child goes to campus or to uni or whatever it is, and that is it. During holidays, they find a way of morphing and avoiding being in that space. But you see, the avoidance is not solving the problem. So at a certain time what happens? It will be the issue to just do the duty. It's Christmas, I need to send money. It is this, I need to do this.
Because maybe to add on that, I realize that the more I grow old, the more that our parents now start they want to be. You have more conversations with your parents.
Yes.
You tend to become. It tends to become a situation where they're like your friends now. Yeah, you can give them advice. You can do. Now the field is kind changing
because they're becoming weaker and you're becoming stronger.
But now, if the relationship or if the friendship was hard then, you're trying to explain those dynamics that kids trying to avoid, and the only time they meet parents is when
barrier those things.
And every time they meet, they are running away every single time.
And even at home, those times when your parents come home and you, I don't know about today, but when our mom would come home, everyone would flee because of unfinished business that was told to us. So now it becomes even worse. So the relationship was not groomed, it was not developed at all, and now it's mechanical, It's just like how we see parents who pay fees and do all that, but they do not have this one-on-one with their kids. So what happens eventually? That's what you're teaching the child to do. I mean, that's what you're investing in them. Eventually, that relationship will not be there. And when now they become dependent on their own of the things which they were dependent on you, then the gap becomes even bigger. So you need to come to a place with yourself and say, okay, how do I deal with this hurt?
Yes.
How do I resolve this thing? It's a whole process. You need to acknowledge, yes, this was wrong. Maybe your parents didn't know any better. Maybe. Yeah? So now that you have acknowledged that this is it, what are you doing about it? I keep telling people, at a certain age, you don't owe anyone an explanation of what you're doing. I mean, maybe we're going for burial and I cannot make it. Yeah? Why can't I make it? Because I have to come to Power FM and present something. And they're thinking, you mean you're taking Power FM above all of us? But you see, Power FM has been there for me.
Yes.
It has molded me. So all I can say is, I'm sorry I'm unable to come. I don't have to explain, because the moment I start explaining,
that's a kind of one.
Yeah, and then you're going to start reminding me of all the things you did for me. I mean, you did them when I could not do them. And I appreciate that you did them. But if you're going to keep reminding me, when you are in P3, I did this. I mean, when I start... And parents, we have a lot of that, yeah?
Gaslighting.
When I start telling my children that I gave up full-time employment because of them, they didn't ask me to do it. I chose to do that, yeah? So I cannot start saying, but you, how come you're not, coming to help me? When I gave up my full-time jobs, now I've been doing odd jobs because of, it's none of their business. I did a good job, yes, and I did that so that I could impart value within them. So we should not start reminding the kids of what we forewent for them, but you see, we brought them into this world for starters. Yeah.
In a country where we are reminded where we were when people went to the bush.
Yes, and we were somewhere. Everyone had something to do then. So I think at a certain time it becomes a bargain. You bargain your way out. And then you need to create an environment that is conducive, because you're also now putting something on the table.
Yes.
And when I say something, I don't only mean money, even ideas. You're putting ideas on the table and saying, maybe we should do it differently. Maybe we should have done it like this. Yeah. So if they can listen to you, then you can find a way of how to deal with that. And, I'm number 12 out of 13 kids, but I'll tell
Wow.
you there are some of my elder brothers who used to tell me of, I think you need to have a word with our mom. And our mom never understood why I can actually always stand up to her. We had the same personality. She passed on sometime about 8 or so years ago. But I could come and say, and I have a brother called Paul, and I'd tell her, Mom, what you did to Paul, he's not happy about it.
And this is the
And she's
Catholic
like,
basketball.
why are you the one to tell me? But I mean, maybe the way I was packaging it, I was not talking about Mom being wrong, but I was saying what you did was not pleasant. And there's something I'd also forgotten to talk about. There's this thing of comparing siblings and telling you and telling you, why can't you be like? How come you never measure up to X, you know?
Yes.
I think that thing is really bad, and it has brought a lot of conflict within homes and a lot of emotional pain within children. They are thinking, okay, unless I do it like X, it can never be the right thing. Yeah. So, and as we grow, that separation also becomes bigger. The friendship cannot be there because you're thinking, this is the right person,
Yes.
I'm never the right person.
Mrs. Mubiru, I am going to ask you to stay just for a few more minutes. We are breaking protocol already, just to make sure that at least we bring this to a sensible conclusion. So please stay for the next in the next hour.
Are you buying Rolex?
You know, we were talking about comparison of siblings. What usually happens, you know, when parents compare, what goes through the mind of siblings or children when they compare them? Every time they are comparing them to either a success, it's usually a successful sibling. Yeah.
They can't compare you to one who is
one
not doing
who is-
well. Or why can't you be like
Why
that one
can't
who is
you-
doing bad manners? No way.
But yeah, what goes through their mind, and how does that affect them even later on in life?
First of all, it brings about that unhealthy competition between the siblings, and then it also creates hatred between the siblings, especially for this one who is being told, why can't you be like? It's not like they are not anything, they are something, but that something is not being recognized. That's why they're saying, you know, stop being this and be that.
Yeah.
Yes, this person can get better, but they can get better, even better, without being compared to a sibling, because for them this is a sibling. Yeah, this is like me. You know, we have the same rights, we have everything the same. So you cannot be saying that, why can't I be like? So what happens is, you know, it becomes they and me, and that they is not mainly to the parents, it is to that particular sibling of, you know, that is their child who does what they want. I don't do what they want, so why should I even try? So now the attention that I'm getting is all negative attention. So if I want to get positive attention, because mainly the family does not want to be seen embarrassed, quote unquote. You know, I'll give an example of myself, because there's no one else to backbite me because I talked about myself. So all my stepsisters, my mother's children, who are my stepsisters, they all got married before giving birth. But one of them, their firstborn came earlier than 9 months after the wedding. Anyway, they all got married before giving birth. But when I conceived before marriage, I mean, as a 23-year-old girl, 24, 23, anyway, around there. Of course, I'm going through my emotions, and my classmates and my friends are not yet pregnant, they're not married, some are married and not giving. So I'm also dealing with certain things, but my mother was like, how could you embarrass me? Yeah. So this thing that you have done is embarrassing the family image.
Yes.
So they like to protect the family image, but let me tell you, there's not a single family that doesn't have issues. So
There's no perfect family.
no, just like there's no perfect person.
Yeah.
So because there's so much on protecting the family image, my pain is not being recognized
At all, yes.
At all.
Yes, yes.
And I'm going
Sadly.
through this pain, and I have to keep up appearances to appear, like the perfect family where all girls go through marriage to give birth. I'm not saying what I did was right.
You are the official bad example in the family.
Right. Exactly.
You want to be like
that one. So what happens is, because I'm getting negative attention, I'm like, hey, so there's an image here to protect. I even become worse. I'm not saying I became worse, but that's what happens to some of the kids who feel like, okay, I am bad, and when I do something bad, I get attention. So I continue being bad, and I continue. I become the black sheep of that family. So yes, that's where it leads to. Then others are like, Eki has bought a car. I'm going to buy the next model. There's that car competition of, hey, he has bought land where? In Munyonyo. Hey, I'm buying mine in Teve by the lakeside. So people end up stealing money and doing all these things to continue that car competition amongst themselves. So that sibling rivalry is not really good. They don't even want to see each other in the face of family. You get it? Have you met families where they tell you, hey, you mean so and so is your brother, or you guys are siblings? We didn't even know.
Yeah.
Why? Because there is that difference between the two of you that it's as far as black is from white. Yeah. So there's that separation, there's that wall between the two of you that somehow no one is trying to bring it together, because the person who should have brought it together, who are the parents or the people who would have done that, started it in a subtle way that they were not noticing. So it ends up like that. Someone goes totally negative, someone continues competing of, hey, Eki has taken his kids to Aga Khan, I'm taking mine to Rainbow. You can't even afford, those things.
So we there is this heart. Where is the hope? Where is the hope? Is there restoration? What is the solution to all this?
Yes, there is hope. There definitely is hope. But that hope is in the fact that you need to identify who is hurting him. You have to do away with the external locus of control of, saying they're the one, let me do this to hurt them. No, because when I do this, they'll get hurt. No, you need to face yourself and say, I am being hurt. You need to acknowledge that you are being hurt. I need to acknowledge that I'm being hurt. And then what do? I treat myself kindly. Because these things that you're doing, or I am doing when I'm hurting, are hurting me even the more. Yeah? I don't want to, maybe I go into addictions. I do all those things that are not right. I stop bathing. I stop nurturing myself. I just become unpleasant to be around. Yeah. So I need to take care of myself, both physically and emotionally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then when I say emotionally, I need to surround myself with people who are speaking positive. I am sure to each one of us there's someone who speaks positive, but because there's so many negative things coming within you, you actually miss out the positivity that someone is even saying to you.
Yeah.
So we need to find those people. Who are those people who will once in a while say, hey, Eki, you're really good at this. That's a person who wants to walk with you in the positive direction. You need to surround yourself with such people. You need to quiet your mind. So much is going on. A lot is going on. There's a lot of noise going on. But amidst that noise, where is that still small voice? And it is there. But because you've chosen to pay attention to everything else apart from it, then you need to break the routine. Yeah? You have this routine that you're doing. The monotony is too much. You need to break it if you're going to get out of it. If all you're doing is, Era me, my mom, Era, how could she have done this to me? Era, there's something little that she did. Yeah, but there's that little thing that she did. Hold on to the good that someone has done, even where it's husband and wife. Hold on to that little good that your spouse has done. But don't allow all these other negative things around you take up everything. So choose to be positive. and surround yourself with positivity. Take care of yourself, value yourself, take yourself out. Find reason to go out with a friend for a cup of tea, for a meal, and laugh. It's not a waste of time or money. It is time for you to get out of the world and be with this person with whom you can have positive conversation with, and which is building you towards a better you, not someone who is saying, how old are you? 51. What can you do at 51?
You are gone.
Great. It's okay, you're gone. No, someone who can see value in you, someone who can say, hey, Rebecca, come and talk to people. I mean, I should be around you more because you're encouraging me to do something that is helpful to someone else. You're giving me an opportunity to bring out what I do best. You have identified, hey, Rebecca talks well to people, and you're like, hey, come and talk. But I mean, there are people who are like, what can Rebecca ever say?
Rebecca, your season is done. You are ancient now.
Exactly. So such people, when you're around them, you're like, hey, I think Eke was right. I don't think I can do. Now you're just going lower and lower in that range. So yes, there are people who say negative things about us, but what about those who say the positive things about us? Yes, there are wrong things that I have done in life, but what about the right things that I have done in life? So refocus your energies to positivity.
Wow, you have had